My guest today is Steve Clark. Steve is a part-time detailer, a Montreal firefighter, and Steve has been running his chimney business for over 35 years. In this episode, we discuss his start in detailing, why DIY detail works best for him, and his view on the YouTube detailing scene. Hope you enjoy this one. So I have the new logo coming on soon. Hire the designer. If you see on the
Oh, yeah.
top right corner.
I see that's for the podcast one?
Yes. So
Yeah,
it's like a double D with some
yeah,
yellow, like I usually have
yeah.
in my thumbnails.
Okay, so where maybe I've missed out on it, but what's Dogma?
Dogma is so when I started the YouTube channel, I wanted something that sounds like detailing is my religion, right? Like
Oh,
it's such a
yeah,
big
yeah,
passion.
yeah, yeah.
So
Uh,
I looked that up and I found the word dogma. So that's why it's not dogma detailing, because dogma is not supposed to be the name.
oh, okay.
It means like it's the detailing dogma. It's like the detailing religion or the detailing passion. It's just another way for me uh,
To
to
express
say
it.
that the detailing is it's like the passion. So
Yeah.
does it make any sense?
Yeah,
Dogma,
no,
is that a
now,
common word?
yeah, now, not, but I hadn't thought of that at all.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's not a
that
common
that
word, I
actually
guess.
goes more to who you are too. Like that's probably what I see in it is that is your passion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly right. So Steve Clark, can you tell us how you got to fall in love with detailing?
Mine is it's kind of a journey actually because I I can remember growing up and the old turtle wax and the old one bucket and a dirty old rag is how you clean the car. And I don't know that I really ever changed that. And then in 2017 I bought a brand new GMC Sierra Duramax diesel, like the biggest truck you could find in the day, right? A beautiful, beautiful truck. And I live in the country, right? So like I'm dealing with gravel roads and dust and everything else. And I didn't have a garage at the time. So I was detailing out in my backyard almost. And I always had water spots. I'm like, I don't remember this growing up, but I'm like, I had water spots and I just didn't know what to do about it. So I found myself on YouTube, and that's actually when back it was still well, he was just starting, but like I found Pat, and he's happened to be doing something about that, and then it was turtle wax ice was the product back then, the spray wax that they had, and all of a sudden here I am like learning about two buckets and microfiber towels, and like I'm like, okay, this is not what I'm used to, right? This is not my dad's paste wax that we're using here. So like anything that I do, anybody that knows me, I'm gonna deep dive it. So I got myself right in, and my shop shows it right now. I built a shop 4 years ago, um,
Did
and
you say you built a shop?
yeah, I built a shop. It's for and mainly for the business, but there is well, about 25% of the 50 by 40 shop is basically my detailing haven, if you want. That's where I go. That's where I go and hang out. That's my spot. That's the one that's got way, 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 way too many products on the shelves. I went down those rabbit holes too, and I bought everything because everybody said this is the best, and I'm slowly now getting rid of stuff and not replacing it and just keeping things much simpler. But basically, yeah, I was just chasing after how can I get a shiny vehicle without scratches. I didn't even know what these scratches were, but my truck was full of scratches. So I got rid of that truck, and then I bought one in 2020 again, um, and that truck I still own it. It still runs. It does daily jobs. It drives up people's driveways with branches and everything else. And that truck doesn't have any swirls, doesn't have any scratches on it. Clients continually ask, "You bought another truck?" Like, no, it's the same truck. It's and they're like, they can't be. Like, they don't believe that it's the same truck. Um, it's just like we have three vehicles on the property here, and like all three of them are washed two, three. My truck is probably washed four times a week in the summer. just because it's the image that we show going forward is if you want me in your house, then my first image is my truck. So if they see my truck is clean and organized, then I've already sold my job to the clients. So
Mhm.
the detailing helps me with my business as well. And for me, it's just it's I go out there, I put on my headset, my ISO tunes, whatever I happen to be using. I just put my music on, or I just blast it on the stereo, and I'm just in my zone. I'll be out there 6 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, cleaning any one of my three vehicles, sometimes one after the other.
So it started with your own car, and then you went
Yeah,
on YouTube, and then you went down in the rabbit hole.
yeah, oh yeah. Like it's but then I ended up like the rabbit hole started with like Turtle Wax. They came out with the to the Max Wax. Well, that's I was back to putting I was back to putting turtle wax on a car again, but it was a completely different product, right?
Mhm.
And then once I started getting comfortable with that, I said, well, what's all this talk of ceramic coatings? Like this sounds like you know wizardry, like and polishing. Like it was just and it was just watching YouTube videos and just finally I just bought a Shine Mate from Carzilla and just I went to the first one. It was one of our vans. We had a Honda van at the time, and I'm like, well, I can't make it any worse. So I just went to town with it. We started waxing cars, and you do the family cars and mother-in-law's car. Next thing you know, like I've got a couple of friends that are deep deep dive rabbit hole guys as well, and I've got them included in it. So we've got a bunch of us that have supported TOC and Carzilla fairly well over the years, so they should be happy.
Okay.
Yeah, and then next thing you know, we're saying, well, why are we waxing our cars every 3 months? Why don't we ceramic coat them? So I did my own, and I did the truck first with the McKee's 37. And I couldn't believe how easy this was to do, and I'm like, I've still got 2 bottles of to the max wax because I'm like it takes me less time pretty much to ceramic coat a vehicle than it does to wax it, right?
Mhm.
And there is something therapeutical too about putting a wax on a vehicle. I did do one a couple weeks ago. My son has a Ford Transit, an old Ford Transit van, and we cleaned that thing up. And I said, you know what? You're just getting wax. That's all this thing's getting. And we put wax on it, and it almost shines like a brand new truck. It was kind of fun doing it. Like it brought us back to where I started from. Like so,
So you wanna tell us what is your business that, you have your
yeah, the
pickup truck
business
super
that
clean?
yeah, we do chimney work. So basically, anything to do with installing wood stoves, fireplaces, inspecting them, cleaning them, all that. So a very like you want to talk about challenging to keep an interior of a vehicle clean. Try a work truck where you're working in soot and stuff all day long. Like it's hard to do, but the inside of my truck is pretty much it's better than the day I bought it. And
But you have to keep
I well, I have to keep it clean, I just have to as well. That's just who I am.
yeah.
And I have to be honest with you, I hate doing interiors. I do not like doing the interiors at all, but I love sitting in a clean vehicle. So
S
I appreciate it.
so when you go to your potential client for a quote and they see your clean truck,
Yeah.
like you said, it's already sold.
Yeah.
The job is
Well,
already sold.
and what's funny is I have because I do offer some coatings to people that I know. Like I'm not going to broadcast that I do this, but I have done quite a few. Like last year, I did about 12 coatings as a non-professional and charge for them. They pay full dollar for it, and they get above what you would get at any. Like I've seen a lot of jobs, and
Mhm.
it's the enthusiast in me. But I also because I run a business, it's also being done in an efficient way. Like I'm not the fastest by any means, but I'm certainly I'm using lots of the methods and ways that I've seen and like that's where I have to say, like, I've been employed. He he's helped me big time in upping my game and having much more fun doing it because I'm not wasting so much time even when I do my own video.
You say Ivan?
Yeah, Ivan, yeah.
Okay, okay. But the ceramic coatings job, were those your chimney clients, or is that what you said?
Some some have been, yeah, because they've just been interested in it, and then you start to talk about it.
Okay,
Others is for friends that know what I do, and like I just did one for a friend the other day. He bought a brand new truck, and he says, "Well,
cool.
I know how you take care of yours. I want mine to look like yours." So,
Yeah, yeah, that's that, like you said, yeah, having your own vehicle is the right image. And
well, yeah.
so how did you end up following DIY detail?
Well, I think because I was watching Ivan through his business academy, and then somehow I like yeah, the way YouTube works, right? Like you end up finding out these things, and at first, like I do have to admit the DIY name kind of threw me a little bit,
Mhm.
but I get it now, and like it's their products are pretty much I'm using almost every one of their products. So but yeah, it was basically because of just his way of doing it. And when I finally did find them, what I appreciate the most is it's the education that they're providing for us, whether you're a do-it-yourselfer, an enthusiast like myself, or a pro. Like every time you turn around, they've got some new way or something new that you can do with their product. Like I'd like to see more companies doing that kind of thing. Actually, it just makes our life easier and more fun.
Yeah, not every brand gets involved, and that's a lot of work to be honest. For
It's unfortunate too, and like I've carried that over into my own industry because I do some training as well in the chimney world, and I've brought that up with some of the manufacturers, and it seems like you mentioned the YouTube, and they get very scared over it. Um, but I said it's kind of funny that in the detailing world, like you can find out more information, and then I installed chimneys, and it's a safety issue, and I have a very hard time finding information online about it.
Mhm.
So yeah, but that's why I ended up through them, and over the years, obviously, like you you have to give it to them. You cannot avoid finding pan, right? Like the
Yeah.
information that you can pick up from his website is just unbelievable, right? Like he's pretty much touched every product out there.
If you're still on the fence about ceramic coatings, well, look no further than Clean by Pan 3-year ceramic coating, my favorite ceramic coating for this year. Very easy to use. The performance of these products are out of this world, the best I've seen so far. The hydrophobics are crazy. So go check it out on the houseofrags.com and .ca and use the coupon code DOGMA to save 10%. So yeah, that basically Ivan is doing like training behind the camera. So you could replicate that in the chimney world, but
Yeah,
most brands don't understand that.
no, no, and like I guess too, like I guess it came too, like if I think back, like when he was with ONR, like that's what he was doing too, right? Like that was the early days of YouTube, where and in the beginning, like I think maybe I'd drawn more to that guys that are using their like they started using their phones for their YouTube, right? Like just get the information out there. I'm not that concerned about the high quality like you know cameras and lighting and all this as long as like the information that's coming out is pertinent and you know is done in a positive way more than anything else.
Yeah, it's not too salesy, right? They just give you
No, that's it.
the how-tos
You
and
you you almost don't think that they're selling a product the way that they're doing it, right? And you can even catch them sometimes they're not even like they'll say, well, like whatever product you're going to use, do it this way, So like I get that because and like don't necessarily go out and buy our product just to try use up what you got, and it will still gonna we're still gonna be here, and then buy it later. So I'm like, well, that speaks a lot instead of the ones jamming it down your throat that you have to buy this product if you want the best results.
yeah, Ivan said to me one time when he came here, Uh, we show the people how the product works, and if they like it, they buy it.
That's it.
So it's like very organic marketing, and
Yeah, yeah,
I guess
it's
the
working.
proof is in the pudding. They
I
built
think so.
like
Yeah. I,
100K as a channel in
yeah.
two
Yeah. No,
years, maybe a little bit less than that. You told me that you use the ceramic coatings from DIY. Do you have one that
yeah.
you prefer?
Well, I've got my vehicles are coated with C6. I went ahead and mainly I was able to do it because of my business. I have insurance that will allow me to like liability that insures me, which that's the biggest part that C6 is wanting. Um, so I was able to apply and I got it. So I put C6 Hydro on a couple of my vehicles. But mainly what I'll put on most people's cars, I'll go with the DIY 5 year. I've done the 8 8 year, 3 year stack on a couple. Um, but yeah, they're usually my go-tos. I've done a couple of armor details. I've done some of their
Okay,
ceramics. And like
cool.
I said, the one that got me into it was the McKees. Um, I've I've found on that one it was great in the beginning, but it doesn't seem to like my country dirt roads. It started to lose its. It was about 2 years in, and it was pretty much done on the sides. The tops were all perfect again, like they were fine, but down on the sides, even with water spot cleaner and everything else, that it was gone. So
It
um,
didn't come back.
no, I didn't come back, which that's fine. Like it was my first at like maybe there was a little bit too of first time doing a coding too. Like maybe I wasn't quite doing it right either. Like I'm the first to admit when you start something you might not be doing it 100% right. Whereas now, now I'm more than certain. Like I'm using I really like it, but the DIY app for the adhesion promoter. That one, I really enjoy. First of all, I enjoy using it. Like I can see its benefit, and you can really feel what it does to the paint. So I can believe that it would definitely help the coating
Did you
last.
did you polish before the app? Because I've seen
Yeah,
some people they don't polish all the time. They just the
yeah.
app
Like
they apply.
I'm still like I unfortunately I see scratches everywhere. So I have to polish everything.
Yeah,
And
sure.
when I built my shop, I didn't realize the lights that I was putting in are the magical swirl finders. They're too good. Like the high bay LED lights and like stuff that's in the garage. Like I have to tone it down. Like I have to go, okay, you're not going to see that outside. And as soon as you take the vehicle outside, you don't see those scratches on it. But yeah, no, pretty much everything I do is minimum like you want to call it a cleaner polish or a one step enhancement that everything gets. But I
Mhm.
tend to be leaning towards because using a pad washer and I do like the DIY system where it's the spray compound.
Yeah,
It's much faster. Like I find like I'm zipping through cars a lot faster than I was before. So I tend to then do a quick follow up with like a red pad on a rotary and just really gloss the heck out of any paint that you can find. And it just doesn't take me that much longer to do it. And I've built it into my price anyway for those that I'm doing it for. So
that's cool. So you pretty
yeah.
much use only DIY products now.
Uh, for that, like I've got there's a couple that are going to be always with me. I have 3D. What is it? The 510. It's a heavy cutting polish from them.
Hmm.
Sometimes what I'll do is I'll hit the and maybe Ivan won't like this, but I'll hit the pad with a shot of the DIY gold standard, and then I'll put a couple of drops of the 510 on it. And with that, you can pretty much get any scratch because you've got it seems to have a bit more oil in the 3D1 product, so it seems to just go forever, and it just
Yeah,
seems to be able to cut just that little bit more. And so, once again, do what works, right? So,
yeah. Some people
and
think
I
that. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, I have. I'm just trying to remember. Like I've got a cart that I haul around that's got the pad washer in it, and I've got some. That's where all my polishes go. I got into extreme solutions early on too. Like, so I've got. Sometimes I've done for some clients that don't want to spend a lot of money. I'll do like the LVR 403, I think it's called from them. It's like a glaze. So
Okay.
it's got a bit of fillers in it, so like you can't really do it for anything other than that. But if you've got really, really old paint and you want to shine it up, like I've got one guy, he's close to a year with it on it, and it still looks just as good as when we put it on. So those products are there, but yeah, the basis of what I'm doing is pretty much the DIY system, just because it works. I'm sure there's tons of other stuff out there, but um, my style and what I do and the way I like it to work, it works for me. So that's how I run with it.
Yeah. Good for you. Good for you. But I have to say, the process that we do, if you have a really good process, most products nowadays are going to deliver good
Yeah.
results.
Yeah, and I think in today's world, like I don't think there really are that many bad products left because you guys on YouTube, you're going to call them out. So most products do work exactly. So you're right.
Yeah.
Just
Then you.
get a system that works for you, and I think that the main thing is, and I think it's catching on more now is the clean pad. Like when I first started, like I pretty much like I'd have 12, 14 pads in a bucket by the time I was done, and it was a nightmare to try and the job is done, and an hour and a half later you're still cleaning pads, right? Like now now I finished the job and like my pads are clean and they're sitting on the rack drying, right? So and it's getting me through the car way faster. And the pads last longer because I'm not ripping them off every time trying to clean them off either.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I never bought the pad cleaner
So
simply because I don't have that much room. So that's another thing that's on the floor.
it's a great idea. It just I think the new DIY one is probably going to be the best because there's nothing to work on. Like I find mine constantly loses its prime. Like between each time I want to clean it, I have to pump it like 8 times to get the water to come up.
Okay.
When you spin it, you got to keep it like literally a millimeter off, or you've got spray everywhere. Once you get used to it, works great. Don't get me wrong; it's just it's a product that needs a little bit more development. I love it. It's changed my game so much. And once you get over the fact it's a $200 bucket with a
Mm.
with a pump on it for pushing, but no, it definitely has upped my game, and I appreciate what it's done, and it's I keep using it. It works. So
Did it do that right off the bat, or it's like the seal is broken or
it's
something?
probably I think they sell a kit for it, but yeah, it
Okay.
did in the beginning. It did take a couple extra pumps, so but
Okay, that's
like
the
I'm
first
used
time
to
I
it.
hear
I
that.
think yeah, well, I know they sell there's a repair kit for it, so I think that's probably what it is. But I
Okay.
think what I'm just gonna do is I meant to try it last weekend on a vehicle, but I think I'm just gonna carry a bottle of Insulus in a sprayer and just hit it with a couple of shots and just use the dimples on the pad washer and never mind the pump on it. Kind of like what the new DIY system is gonna be, right?
Yeah, they have a new pipe cleaner coming out soon,
Yeah,
right? They
yeah, yeah.
announced it
So
at
it's
SEMA.
at SEMA, yeah. So and it's got no moving parts. So I think at the end of the day, it's that'll be the way to go. But like I said, it's still I wouldn't think of not using it. I bought it because I had Carzilla points stacked up, so I was able to buy it with that and made it feel a little better. But
Do you have it on the cart itself or
yeah,
no?
I have it's a plastic husky cart from Home Depot. And I basically just cut a hole out of the center of it and I dropped it in the middle of it. And then I put some PVC pipe on the outside to hold all my bottles of compounds or polishes. And I just put a 4 foot LED strip on one side of it. And then that side faces the car all the time. So I can pull it around and then I've got these bright white lights hitting me from sort of shoulder height. So if I'm in the right location, I don't like it super bright, but it kind of casts a bit of light down the side so you can kind of catch
Okay.
the scratches.
And I want to ask you, we want to move on a couple of questions about YouTube since you are a viewer, right? You got three jobs. You got your detailing, your firefighter, and your chimney company.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
also have
Landscaper.
three kids, and you're also a viewer of mine or any other channel. You've got to know me through probably DIY or Pan, and you always the few last weeks you've told me in the comments that you like the no fluff and straightforward approach. Do you want to elaborate on that? What exactly do you mean?
Well, I think what it is like there seems to be a lot of videos out there that they've got excellent content, but I get a little like I'm like, oof, that's gonna be 43 minutes of my day that I gotta watch this video, right? Where like you seem to have that sweet spot. You're sort of, 15 to 23 minutes kind of, I think, is what your longest that you do most. But like, and it's fine. Like every once in a while, I realize like the subject does need to go a little farther, but um, and you seem to you bring up a point, you talk about it, and you move on to the next thing, or you show us what you're doing, or you'll fast forward. Um, it's like it my time is very precious. You just mentioned it. I got three things I do plus the family, and I'm on YouTube a lot. Like there's a bunch of channels that I watch, and like there's definitely one of them. Like it's once the notifications come up, it's pretty much drop what I'm doing and what's Frank up to today, And yeah, and I don't know what I can't put my finger on what exactly you're doing, but it just hits home, and like I just appreciate your way of going about it, and you just don't really care. Like I know you probably get some comments you don't like, but you're like, this is my opinion. And I think that's important that we learn that what you're bringing to us, that's your opinion. Like I don't have to agree with it. Like there's certain things you've done too, and I'm like, wow, okay, that's not for me, but that's what gets Frank going, and that's what he likes to do. Well, that's great. Like, thanks for showing it to me because maybe or somebody else might see it and go, wow, I never thought of doing it that way. Or you might use a hybrid version of something that somebody's bringing to you, right?
Hmm.
Like I had
That's
been
good.
doing I had been doing the foam rinse and then the like I was in I've moved a lot to rinseless now, but I was doing the I re-soap again. I've been doing that actually. I was thinking I was doing something like weird and crazy because like I have dirt and mud on my truck every time I come home, right? So I'm like, I'm not gonna touch that stuff. So I would spray it with foam anyways. And then next thing you know, here I am watching everybody doing this, and I'm like, huh, I should have had a YouTube channel. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
so like
it's
it's kind of fun sometimes too when you kind of see others like that are doing it like do it every day. But like I watch your videos once a week, and like when you start to see stuff like, well, that's I do that too, and it's great. It kind of makes me feel better about, or if I have a problem doing something, or you know, and I think that's where you come from. You have that realistic side to you. Um, I've got the background from I originally grew up in Quebec, so maybe it brings me back home that I can hear the Quebecois accent that you have, like and
yeah.
you're every once in a while you hear you say, "Oh, no, I'm sorry about my English." No, you have nothing to worry about your English, man. You're you're right on it. So keep it up.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. You just opened a few doors for me for many questions. But to go back to the no fluff, I think so. So I studied the YouTube science because there's a real science to it. To not go too long on it, it's you gotta keep the people engaged, and
Yeah,
at some point, somebody told me you have to be brief. So
yeah,
you're not Barack Obama. You don't. I don't have the best speech on earth. So you have to give the information
yeah,
briefly.
yeah.
People will absorb it, and if they have more question or they're gonna ask it, or you can make another video if you want to stretch the content on a different
Exactly.
subject.
And
Because
and I think the
I
the advantage you got is you can then watch what your comments are saying, and if you start to see a bunch of people asking questions, you're like, okay, well that needs further investigation, and people want more information, so I'll give it to them.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so I like to keep it short and straight to the point. And it's just in our habits now with the short content.
Yeah,
The people attention is shorter. And like you said, you get home, you have an hour and a half to spend behind the TV,
yeah,
and you open YouTube and you have maybe or 5 or 6 video that you want to watch.
yeah,
If you click on mine and it takes too much time to get to the point, you'll start to get bored and you'll think about the other one and probably click off.
yeah,
So
yeah,
the retention on YouTube, if your retention, your watch time, let's say the video will last 20 minutes. If people click off after 3 minutes, it's not going to give good sign
no,
to the YouTube
no,
algorithm, and
yeah,
they're not going to push your videos much.
yeah, and like I've heard that from other YouTubers too. So like for me, the channels that I follow, like I feel it's very important. And I hope people catch what you just said is that I make sure the ones that I really like, I watch the video right to like at the end, the video stops, and then I turn it
Mhm.
off because I know it's important for you guys to like it helps you when we do that. So like I said, I've really narrowed it down. There's not as many I watch. Like Apex has changed. They're one that I follow all the time, like Brian and what he does. I've learned probably just as much from him, and he's like he doesn't have your French accent, but he is the no fluff. Like you two are the same in that regard, and I think that's what it is, right? And that's how I am too. Like I said, I do courses as well, and like I, I don't want to waste people's time. And
Yeah,
if you've got
and
something to
when I
say it, and
yeah,
and get it over. And if you say it fast enough and people don't get it, they're gonna ask the questions anyway. So let them ask them and then fill them in. And if they've got enough, and sometimes if you give them too much information, then they don't remember any of it.
exactly. So we think that people needs all the information when they just need the basic stuff. And like I said, we always need new ideas for content so we can make other videos and go more in depth.
Yeah, yeah,
Detailing is already niche down. So if you go too niche into the niche,
yeah, yeah,
you start to lose people is what I'm
yeah, for sure, for
saying.
sure.
And to go back to Brian, did you know why did he change his name? Well, I don't
Because
really speak to him.
I, I I caught in one of his videos he wants to like he's semi-retired now from what I gathered, and I think it's his son and one of the other guys in the shop that are going to be doing it, and he wants to keep the Apex name and YouTube available for them to do it, and then now he just gets to play around and like he's buying cars that have trashed paint just so that he can play around with it, right? Like so, um, like and for whatever reason, I guess right now in my path in the whole YouTube world, that's actually what's now got my attention is that okay, like these are not disaster details. These are cars that have just been neglected, and he's taking them and he's bringing them back. And like, I think when I walk in a shopping center and I see all these cars, I'm like, "Oh my goodness, if these people would just know what they could do with their car, right?" Like, and he's doing it by buying these auction cars.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
it's kind of it's for me, I guess it's my next step because we don't all get to work on brand new cars, right? Like not everybody's bringing you a brand new vehicle right off the lot. Sometimes people are bringing cars in and they're expecting the best, but he's now showing different ways, and he's cutting through the fluff too of this is just cut to the chase. This is how it's done. And,
Yeah, yeah. So he's done great. I've watched him for many years. Since I've
yeah,
started my channel, I don't really watch anymore.
no, you don't have time.
I, was that? Yeah, I don't
You
have the
don't have
time.
time.
Well, sometimes I will, maybe an hour or two a week,
Yeah,
and I'll probably go and watch other subject on YouTube, not detailing.
yeah, yep,
So that's the thing that when I started the channel over time, it kind of ruins the YouTube detailing. It did not ruin
yeah,
the passion for detailing, but
no,
watching it is different. So when you
yeah,
get to make your own videos, you get to understand many different things about it. And when you watch other people's videos, it's I don't know, it doesn't feel really good.
yeah,
But I'll watch fan I'll watch some pan and but that's pretty much it. I don't want to focus on other people. So this is one thing I mentioned, especially when it comes to product reviews. If I get the DIY, let's say for example, I want to review a spray sealant.
Yeah,
It's a new one, right? It's I don't know from CarPro. So I don't want to
yeah,
go watch a pan review or Jamie the cleaner's review, and
yeah.
that's gonna influence my content.
Oh, yeah, I get. Oh, yeah, I get where you're coming
So
from. I hadn't
I
thought.
wanna,
Oh, yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. So
You want your idea. You don't want to be using like just repeating what they've said.
yeah, so exactly. So
Yeah,
I have this is one thing I noticed in the past when I was just a viewer. You would see a brand coming out with a product, they're gonna send it to the YouTubers,
yeah,
and you watch two or three of them, and they all say the same thing.
yeah,
So you stop caring after that. So this is something I did not want
yeah,
to do.
yeah. Okay.
So I have enough experience to get my own thoughts on the product. Maybe by not watching their videos, I might miss a point or two about the product if I haven't used enough, but at least it's going to be my experience and my opinion on it. It's not
Yeah,
I'm not going to regurgitate
yeah,
someone else's content, right?
yeah, yeah, for sure.
So that's another reason why I don't really watch. And like you said, there's a not to point fingers or to talk trash about other ones, but like the 30 minutes videos on detailing I can't do anymore.
I don't need it.
So for my own content, like you said, sometimes I'll keep it around 12 or 15 minutes. But in my philosophy is to not stretch the video for no reason. So
No,
even more now, you'll see in my videos I try to compact it, and I try to make the end uh, like you don't expect the video to end there, because
right.
as soon as the viewer understand that the video is near the end, they click off,
Click off anyway.
and that's not good for the retention, and it's not good for me to deliver the message. So I want to finish my videos when you don't expect it. The two last one are have been 20-23 minutes because I had, like, for a ceramic coating, you want to have the application in some fashion
Yeah,
and the result.
yeah.
And for the cleaning the wheels, sometimes I'll have most of the time I'll have 3 to 4 products in the video. So I have
That
to
one was.
show some of it, right?
Yeah, that one was in depth because exactly that. Like you're deep diving into what each one's doing and but I understood it watching it. I'm like, yeah, because I'll do that too. Like I'll kind of look at a video and go, yeah, you didn't have to put in that, 5 minutes about this product or that. That you when I watch yours, I'm like, yeah, no, he had to put that in because it's part of what we're looking at, right? Like I don't need to see somebody do 4 passes on a hood on the whole hood completely, right? Like at that point, I'm clicking forward too, right? So like there's 6 minutes that we didn't have to watch, right? So um,
If that was like a how to
yeah,
polishing video, yeah,
then you
that's
need that.
different.
Then you need that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to tell me how the ceramic coating works, and then you've done 4 passes and then a polish, and okay, I didn't need all that, right? So yeah, and
Yeah.
that's why like I'm drawn to you guys that do it in that style. And once again, I keep saying it, like I just appreciate that you guys do that because it's information that I want, but I don't have to spend half my day listening to it.
Yeah, and now if you like the 1,000 view that you get today is much harder than the 1,000 view like 3 years, 3 to 4 years
Okay,
or before that.
okay,
It's much harder now. The audience is spread out,
yeah,
and the detailing is not so new anymore.
no,
If you like during the pandemic is what it blew up. I was not
yeah,
there,
for
but
sure,
from what I
yeah,
gather, the detailing blew up. And those who have started it, like Pan the Organizer, so he's been very consistent, but people are watching his content. But even his views, not that there's nothing wrong with his content, but meaning like even the big YouTubers, their content have been their views have reduced.
yeah,
I can't really pinpoint it, but people spend less. I don't know if they spend less time on YouTube, but it seems like the views are lower, These guys have a million subscriber, maybe 500,000
Yeah.
subscriber, maybe 100,000, and some of them, not all of them, but some of them, they have trouble catching 5K views per video.
Yeah, and like that's kind of little things I've been noticing too. Like I'll see that too, and I'm like, that's kind of surprising. They've only got that many views on something, and like take a look at yours. Like if you look at your percentage of views to your actual subscribers, you're very high, right? Like if
Yeah,
you look at like, and that's good. So it's obviously speaking volumes to what you're doing. Um, I
and
love it when you have your little pop ups in the corner. Stay tuned at the end of the video for whatever. Like I like it makes me chuckle every time I see that. I think it's just a great idea to do that because it takes me out of what you're doing, brings me like a little personalized thing from you, and then the video keeps going again. Right? It's kind of a cool little thing, and that it probably was done a long time ago, but I don't see many guys doing that right now. So
I didn't get what you meant there. What's that?
like you'll do like your videos playing, but you'll have up in the top screen, you'll have stay tuned at the end of the video for a secret ending or like you've done it
Oh yeah,
before.
yeah.
Yeah, I like
Like
that.
you're
I think that's pretty cool.
like teasing
Yeah,
what's coming
it's a
up
little
soon.
teaser, like it's almost a TV style from back in the '90s kind of thing. So yeah, I like that. I think it's kind of fun. Like you've added something to your video by doing that. So I love
Yeah, I'll do that. And the intro is super important. Like the
it.
first 30 seconds.
Yeah,
E- Even people with their phone, they're gonna, without clicking on the video, they're gonna like preview play the first 30
yeah,
seconds.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because yeah, it'll just automatically start playing, right?
Yeah, so that's why I do the subtitles there.
Okay.
Try to
Oh,
get the people on.
that's you that you have to put that in.
I don't have to, but this is something I started doing recently because this is something I learned by studying the YouTube
Yeah.
science. People,
Okay, no,
they're gonna,
what I meant by that is I thought it automatically did that, but that's something you've actually had to get
yeah, it's
into
in
your
the
video.
post production. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
yeah. Not everyone does that, but
Yeah,
I've
no, I've
because
noticed that. I've noticed that.
yeah, some they don't they're gonna preview play the video without sound.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But
if
at
the
least,
intro is good,
yeah,
you get the
yeah.
subtitles.
Then they're gonna jump on. Yeah,
Yeah, that's more work on my end, but it's not that
yeah.
bad. And the software
I
that we
think it
have,
works. I think it works in the end. So,
yeah,
and like I think one of the reasons I kind of scaled back on some of the channels and like I I do kind of flip through and see a lot of the comments people write because sometimes there's questions that I might have too, and I just want to ask it again. But I find your channel has like pretty positive either points or questions or things like that. Like whereas other ones, like I can't even look at the video just because of all the like the negativity that seems to be coming into a lot of them. So I certainly hope for your sake, like your channel is able to stay that way. That it's such a positive place to go, right? Like it's great. I love it.
yeah. I don't want to get involved in that. I did a little bit with my sealant battle, ceramic sealant battle, but I removed some of that in the post production. But
Yeah,
that's yeah. There's like little clicks now on YouTube
yeah,
detailing,
yeah.
and I don't want to use
Yeah,
any part of
I've
it.
been I've been victim to a few of them too. I just make one comment and then you get jumped on for saying something. You're like, oh, like I didn't mean any like it. I just asked a question and like it's so I'm like yeah okay I'm no longer I'm out of this one right like I don't need that kind of stuff. So
Hmm.
I guess it's just the way things are right now too. Like it's people people behind a keyboard. It's easy to make comments, and they might not even know what they're doing by saying these things. But
I have mostly positive feedback, so
yeah,
I appreciate that. So YouTube is public, right? So before you expose
yeah,
yourself, you don't really know what to expect, right?
no,
So now the winter is here. So what's
yeah.
your wash process that you do with all the snow and ice, salt?
Well, I guess that's mainly probably where the one of the reasons I got into the rinseless wash was to try and cut down on the amount of water that I've got in my shop because my shop's not like I don't have any dehumidifiers going or anything. So after you've washed a couple of a pickup truck and a van in there, you know the garage doors when you put them up, it's like a rainstorm right when it comes down. So um, but yeah, I know it's pretty much. It actually, I don't think it really changes much from my normal wash. Like I'll bring my vehicle in, I'll let it warm up a bit, let the snow fall out of the wheel wells and all that, and then I pretty much I'll just hit it with the foam cannon with whatever my personal or whatever the soap of the week is going that week, and let it do its job. And then most times after that, then I just spray it with rinseless. I made my own keg sprayer, uh, and then I just spray rinseless all over it, and then I just hit it with that, and then I'll just use a drying aid of some kind and call it a day.
Okay. So do you rinse the with a pressure washer?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have
The foam?
yeah, I'll put it on with the I have way too many foam cannons as well. So, actually right now, I
Really?
think my favorite one that I have is I think I came off at Temu for about $12 or $20. I think it works better than any of the other ones that I have. Um, and I'm not really wanting to support the fake Chinese stuff, but I bought
Yeah.
it on a whim and it actually works really well. Yeah, I have up here in Canada, it's the Simonize. I guess it's the American V52 from Active.
Yeah.
That was my power washer. Um, I bought it. I had a big, huge one before, but it didn't have a pressure switch on it, so the thing ran all the time. Um, and then it stopped working one day, and this thing was on sale at Canadian Tire for not very much. And I've been running it for over a year now. I have a half an hour meter on it, so I can see how it's doing.
Did you change the hose on that? The
Yeah,
active VE?
I'd already upgraded my hose on my other one, so I just had to buy the adapter to go onto the
Okay,
actual
because
thing. So,
I think so the active VE52, is that right?
yep. Yeah,
I think they
that's
had
what it
problems.
yeah, they
Okay.
did. They had problems with it surging apparently. They took care of that with the ones like with the generation I would have bought.
Okay.
The only time it'll surge is if you've got a leak on your hose, like coming into it. Like if there's a water flow, it will
Like air?
actually. Yeah, like it'll just detect, and I guess that's its pressure switch that's seeing that. And every once in a while, so then all that does for me is it just reminds me to go over and oh, that fitting is just a little loose, and I'll just give it a little crank, and it doesn't do it. So,
Okay.
and I know they did have serious problems with that. But for I don't know, I think it was on
Well,
sale
my I
$200. I bought it. I'm like, I'm gonna try it anyway, and then that, once again, deep dive. I did the obsessed garage thing. I changed the orifice on my gun. I got that flowing, at a lower pressure and a higher GPM, and I find it just works perfect for what I'm doing. Like it's not a professional shop that I'm running. So for what I do with it, right, I guess if I'm washing a truck 3 4 times a week, and then my other cars a couple times a week, maybe I am at that level
yeah.
of usage. But
Yeah, but I bought it for my dad and works
yeah,
fine. Never had the surge problem. They fixed it, like you said, at some
yeah,
point
yeah,
on the generations. And
yeah.
myself, I use the Active 2.0.
2.0,
Works
okay.
great.
Yeah.
I've had that for more than 2 years now. I
Okay.
pre-ordered it when they released that
Okay.
in
When
here.
I
Yeah, so
yeah,
it
because
works
I've
pretty
got
good. Just
a
the sound.
yeah, yeah. It's a little loud, but like for me, the shop is big enough that the sound actually doesn't bother me.
You
But
have a
it's
drain
yeah.
in there?
Pardon me?
You have a drain in your garage?
Yeah, yeah. I have. There's two bays, and each bay has its. The front end of the shop has drains, and the back end of the shop is flat, so there's no drains on the back. So.
But it's not attached to your house, right? You
No,
built
no.
that
Yeah,
afterwards.
it was a separate building. We took down an old barn and put up a big shop.
But you could add
Simple.
a dehumidifier.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
They're cheap.
it's always in the plans. Like when we built during COVID, so like
Okay.
budgets didn't seem to exist on that building, so everything went sky high pricing. so so there were a few things got cut back on, and And of course, it's one of those things when you don't do it in the beginning, you never end up putting it in, right? So
That's
I
so
got a
well
couple big
worth it, though.
fans. Yeah, I've got a couple big fans running. It's just that when you're dealing with 40 by 50 feet, like that's a massive
You
amount
might
of
need
air.
to.
That yeah, I
How
tried a
high is
little
it?
one and it's 14-foot high.
Okay, that's quite high.
Yeah, it's very high. So there will be it's wired for it, but the ceiling fans are going to go in. I think that probably should help it out.
Okay.
'Cause it's got in-floor heating, so, like, the floors are always dry, so it's just you don't have any air movement to dry the air. It's it
You share
it's
the
it's fun
passion.
that way too. That's it, and, like, I think I said in the beginning too, like, that one of the reasons we built the shop and that it's the place that I can go, and, like, for me, when I go out there and I work even on my own vehicles or whatever just to clean them up, like, it just the feeling of it, it just it's my therapy, basically. So I look at what all the products cost, and in my mind, the way I sell it is it's cheaper than therapy. So
Yeah, for sure. That's good.
that's my story that I'm telling my wife, and that's how that one plays out.
That's a good way to end it, my friend Steve. Uh, do you have something to add, or do you have any tips for beginners before we close
Um,
this?
yeah, definitely. Like it's pretty much what I tell any of my buddies that say that oh, I'll never be able to do what you're doing. First of all, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And I think we just have to stop overthinking things and just start using a little common sense. And if you think it's okay to do, you're probably right. Like it's actually really hard to hurt a vehicle. Like if you've got a few of the basics down right away, like it's um, and that's it. Like just find somebody, and it doesn't really matter who it is. Everybody's got some good advice. Just find somebody that's got something positive, something good to say, and chances are, whatever they're doing, it's gonna work. And have fun with it. Like I sometimes we get that way too. I get a little stressed about something. I'm like, okay, stop that. Like just have fun with it. Just wash the car and just enjoy life.
Do your research and
That's it. Yeah.
use common sense.
And you don't have to have the best of products to do it either. Right? Like the best of tools. Like I started out with pretty much nothing, and just every month I'd buy something, or every job I'd buy something extra off of some of the profits that I'd made. And that's the only reason I've got what I've got right now. And I just keep reinvesting in it, and it's for my own pleasure.
Yeah, yeah. You don't need to have the whole the biggest
So,
setup out there to
yeah,
have good results.
yeah, and like I think everybody would want to love to have a Krenzel power washer, but I'm very happy with my my active.
Yeah, never had
It
one.
does what it sprays water, right, man.
If people wants to reach you, Steve, uh,
Um,
where can they
I,
talk
I'm
to you?
not I'm not I'm not your biggest social media guy. I have
Steve Clark.
yeah, my Instagram is Steve Clark 5436. That one mainly deals with the chimney stuff, but I will be starting to add some more of the car stuff in there. I have a Facebook page that I don't even think I have anybody following me on it, but it's the Shed Shine. That's where I
Okay.
posted all my pictures of all the cars that I've done over the last couple of years. They're all there.
You have your
And
website.
then yeah, it's Steve Clark.ca.
Okay.
And it's steveclrk@gmail.com for emails. And if anybody wants to talk, anybody wants to discuss things, I'm always one. Like I've gained so much from everybody else out there. If I can help somebody, definitely, I'm open to that.
Perfect. So people, I'll have your info in the description
Yeah.
below. So I want to thank you for your time. Really appreciate you,
Thank
Steve.
you,
It's a
Frank.
pleasure to meet you,
Yep.
and we'll
Same
talk
here,
soon.
man. All right. Thanks, Frank.
Thanks.